Okay. What up, Claytriots? It's your boy, Technically Clay, streaming at you from sunny, brisk, cool morning, St. Louis, Missouri. This is take number 2. My internet decided to go out exactly, 10 minutes into my stream. It seems like my internet is already pretty shitty again, but we'll see. Hopefully it'll actually last long enough for me to finish my stream this time. At least finish my intro. That's all I'm asking. Let's see. I hope that you all are having a wonderful day out there. If it sounds like I'm speeding through this, it's because I already did it once. So, since the last time you saw me, I did a decent amount. I went and got groceries. My wife went to a Mother's Day event with her parents. I stayed home. I caulked a couple windows. My house is a pretty old house, so and I don't think the last people here who owned it, I don't think that they really repaired it that often or anything. There's a bunch of cracks on a lot of the seams and whatnot. And the main incident that caused me to be like, okay, I want to start doing this is the other day there were some ants that were crawling up through one of these cracks. I put an ant trap there, and it seems like they're all dead now. And so I don't know, wherever they were coming from. I think they were coming from outside because I saw a trail of them on the outside. But yeah, I was like, okay, I need to seal some of these seams on these windows. So I started doing that. I was listening to Project Hail Mary while I was doing that on audiobook. I'm almost done with it now. Honestly, I think the book is pretty close to the movie. So I like the book. Okay. I don't necessarily love the voice, like how the writing style or whatever particularly, but it's still pretty good. And then after that, I watched Begonia, which was crazy. It had my boy Stavi in it. Like I was saying the last time when I tried this before, and my internet shit the bed, but I think he's being typecast as a very specific type of person. I don't want to spoil anything, but and I think that he definitely looks the part, if you know what I'm saying. Also, the ending was insane, and I really liked that movie. It was a really good movie. Emma Stone did great. The main guy, I forgot the actor's name. He was incredible, and the autistic brother or cousin, I guess, was also very incredible. Like, did great acting. I think he was an actual neurodivergent person, which I'm always down for some more representation of neurodivergent people. In films, especially like actual neurodivergent actors. I always think that's nice. So, and I think he did a really, really good job. Let's see. Other than that, I played some more Slay the Spire. I don't think I really watched anything else. I think I just dicked around on YouTube for a little bit, and then went to bed, woke up, and I forgot to say, the reason that I'm streaming early this morning is because earlier my stomach was not feeling good, and I decided to just take the day off. I'm feeling better now, so I was going to try to get my stream in before, if anything, it came back or whatever. So there's that. Anyway, so now we are back to it. We're good. We're golden. My internet has not dropped a single frame yet. It's going beast mode after I yelled at my local charter person. Just kidding. I didn't actually call anybody. It was only a brief outage, like 5 minutes or something. So. But 5 minutes is 5 minutes too many, if you ask me. Okay, let's go ahead and get right into it, people. We're going to go into the news. We got some updates. Let's see if this loads. Now to the middle. Okay, good. Okay, so we got some updates from the Iran situation. Apparently, Iran has finally responded. They were supposed to respond on Thursday, I think, according to Trump from last week, but they took their time, And they have finally responded, I think, yesterday after I was done streaming. And Trump apparently doesn't like their response because, newsflash, their response is exactly what they said they wanted from the very beginning, like from the beginning of this ceasefire. They want, sanctions relief. They want, obviously a full end to the war, including Lebanon. They want a tolling system in the Strait of Hormuz, and they want reparations. So Trump was not very happy about Iran literally just saying the same exact thing they've been saying from the beginning of the war for their conditions for ending it. So, but yeah, so let's go ahead and watch this video. We'll see if we can gauge Trump's response. And this is from Fox News, so I'm sure we'll get a little bit of unhinged Fox News response, which you know I love. So this is Trump fires back at Iran's response to U.S. proposal. Totally unacceptable. Let's go.
Now to the Middle East, President Trump slamming Iran's latest attempt to end the war, saying the regime has been laughing at our country, but they will be laughing no longer.
Alex Hogan joins us live from Washington with the very latest. Hi, Alex.
Hi, Carly and Todd. So markets reacting to the news this morning. Oil prices surging today. And today, Iran's foreign minister says that it is still serious about negotiations after President Trump rejected Tehran's recent response, writing this on Truth Social. I've just read the response from Iran's so-called representatives. I don't like it. Totally unacceptable. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Totally unacceptable.
Iranian state media today claiming that the response called for compensation for war damages and it would give the Iranians control over the Strait of Hormuz. According to the Wall Street Journal, the deal did not adhere to the administration's demands on uranium enrichment. Quote, the latest response doesn't resolve the U.S. demand for commitments in advance of the fate of Iran's nuclear program and its stockpile of highly enriched uranium. Nuclear issues would be negotiated over the next 30 days, they said. Iran proposes to have some of its highly enriched uranium diluted and the rest transferred to a third country, people said.
Okay, so that's you know, that was the stuff that I was like feeling the most confident that they could actually get Iran to agree to. So it sounds like Iran is willing. So okay, this is an interesting new development, because when we first got into this war, you know, we were trying to make sense of whether Iran was going to you know, since there's more hardliners in charge now, if they were going to try to break away to a bomb as soon as possible or not. This seems to indicate that I think that they're still following the same sort of playbook that they have been with trying to negotiate with America in relation to the nuclear issue. So it sounds like they are willing to dilute their enriched uranium from 60% back down to 20% or whatever it was under the JCPOA, which, you know, I always figured they would probably, if there was anything that they were going to be willing to do, it would be around the nuclear stuff. And the rest transferred to a third country. That would probably be Russia. I've heard them having discussions with Russia as a potential person to do this, but I don't think they're going to want to transfer too much, because it really does, you know, it really does decrease their leverage pretty significantly. So I would guess that they would try to keep the majority of it just in Iran.
President Trump, in an interview released this weekend, addressed the nuclear concerns.
We'll get that at some point, whatever we want. We have it surveilled. You know, I did a thing called Space Force, and they are watching that if somebody walked in, they can tell you his name, his address, the number of his badge. No, we have that very well surveilled. If anybody
Space Force
got near the place, we will.
You know what's going to be annoying is Space Force is like, now that Space Force is like an actual part of our military or whatever, I'm sure that it's just going to eat up all of my tax dollars as well, just like all the other ones. I know people thought of it as like a joke at first, but a lot of these things, like even if the president isn't very, you know, the president who creates the new department or the new whatever in an administration, whether they're a joke or not, like Trump when he created the Space Force and everyone was memeing on it, the actual military industrial complex and like our pedo billionaire overlords, they will inevitably seize on it as an opportunity to funnel ungodly amounts of my tax dollars into you know, as a tool of imperialism or as a tool of subjugation against the American people or whatever. So as you know, as annoying as it is that Trump was the one who created the Space Force, eventually it is going to be, you know, just merged into the blob of you know, moneyed interests that that all of our tax dollars go to, and it'll become a, you know, it'll be liberalized and it'll be institutionalized, and you know, eventually people will be like, how dare you make fun of the Space Force or whatever, which is, that'll be a great day, won't it, folks?
Know about it, and we'll blow them up.
President Trump also reportedly spoke with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Sunday, who doubled down that the war with Iran is not over.
Because there's still nuclear material, enriched uranium that has to be taken out of Iran. There's still enrichment sites that have to be dismantled. There's still proxies that Iran supports. They're ballistic.
What the fuck are you going to do about it, Benjamin Netanyahu? What are you going to do about it, bitch? Can't do shit about it.
Missiles that
he couldn't even defeat Hamas, dude. Hamas was like 20,000 strong when they started or whatever, or maybe it was like 40,000. I can't remember, somewhere around that range. Now it's like 60,000 strong. And they were unable to defeat the Palestinian resistance in Gaza in a tiny little a tiny little section of land that they completely and totally militarily control and dominate. They were unable to defeat them there. They're unable to defeat Hezbollah. They're unable, obviously, to be able to defeat Iran. America isn't even capable of defeating Iran. So, yeah, what the fuck are you going to do? Like, seriously. Man, Netanyahu, he is the Satan incarnate. Satan himself, as I like to call him.
They still want to produce,
but at least he's stupid. Like if he actually believes that like this sort of stuff is that it's possible to be done. It's not possible. Sorry, buddy.
Netanyahu went on to say in that interview that he wants Israel to reduce U.S. military support from $3.8 billion a year to zero in the future.
Never going to happen.
Alex Hogan, thank you.
Okay, I say it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. I mean, if it did happen, Israel would be unable to sustain itself as it is right now. Israel is definitely not able to sustain itself in terms of like going to war with every country around it without American military support, 100%. But not only that, Israel would literally be unable to just sustain its standard everyday apartheid in the West Bank, or its constant mowing the lawn strategy or whatever of the Palestinians in Gaza. Like they wouldn't be able to support even that without American monetary and political and military support. So it's not possible. It's not going to happen. Also, all of the economy in Israel is getting shittier and shittier by the day. I mean, I don't really talk about it that much because in general, as long as America is propping up the economy, it's never going to collapse. But like it is getting worse for the average Israeli. Like the average Israeli's cost of living is going higher and higher as they pump all of their money into defense and none of it into stimulus or none of it into like welfare programs or whatever, right? Like, and that's only going to get worse and worse. If America cut off its funding, then that would be even worse than it is now. People would, their lives would continue getting worse and worse, and it would inevitably lead to more and more contradictions in society, which would then inevitably lead to, backlashes against the government, potentially new actual non-Zionist groups, being able to take some form of power or something. Eventually it would just sort of collapse in on itself. It wouldn't be able to sustain itself if America stopped funding it. So that's wishful thinking. Netanyahu, it's impossible. Like they love to pretend like Israel is some some behemoth country that is able to do whatever it wants just through sheer strength of will or whatever. And it's like, no, or not even strength of will, strength of racist fervor. Like that's what they think, with enough racist fervor, they will be able to do whatever they want. I know another country who thought that exact same way. Their name was Germany. And during World War II, they also had an incredible amount of racist fervor, and they thought that they could get away with doing whatever they wanted, or they would be able to do whatever they want just on a hope and a dream of their their willpower through their racism would get them through the end of the day or whatever. And it didn't work out. So I don't think it'll work out for them either in Israel.
You still ahead, U.S. Ambassador to NATO Matt Whitaker joins us as the Trump administration pushes to strike a deal with Iran.
President Trump preparing for a high-stakes summit with Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing later this week, with the war in Iran set to be one of the major topics of discussion. The Wall Street Journal writing that the Iran war is hanging over the summit, adding, quote, Xi.
Well, I had another video about the Trump-Xi meeting, but if this one covers it enough, then this will be, I'll just leave it with this.
Also wants the fight to stop as Middle East turmoil restricts Iran's oil supply and shrinks country's ability to buy Chinese goods. And U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Mike Waltz, has this to say about China's relationship with Iran.
As it pertains to Iran, the blockade is stopping all shipping coming out, including of Iran's illegal oil that China was purchasing. Yes, they've had reserves. But
I think there's still some. I think there's still some being shipped, to be honest. I do think that they can spoof data. I think that they can, or like the location data of the ships. I think that they can ship through shadow fleets or whatever. Like, I think there's some still being shipped. And then there's also obviously land routes that that Iran can utilize in order to. Now, I don't know if how much of it would be going to China. I would assume still a significant portion, if they are shipping anything, still a significant portion is going to China. But for those unaware, China, Iran's oil makes up about 10% of Chinese energy, which is, a significant portion, but it's not the end of the world. And if they're still shipping, parts of it, then, it's not going to be that big of a deal to China. It's more of a bigger deal to Iran if they can't get that oil out to them. But considering how they're not really having any problems with like overcapacity in their refineries or anything so far, I think that they're still shipping some oil.
But we've also seen the Chinese economy faltering as a result of energy prices, not only from Iran, but also Venezuela, that have changed dramatically since President Trump took these actions.
Nah. Okay, sorry. I know I pause a lot, but I'm a yip yapper. You know that. That's why you watch me. So China is, they've been claiming China's going to collapse in on itself for like 30 years now. And China has just gotten stronger and stronger every single time. This is Western capitalists trying to analyze a system of government that is not pure capitalism, and they don't understand the amount of power and structure and governing capability that the Chinese government has over their industries. And we'll be able to. They'll be fine. They're gonna be fine. Okay, people, don't buy into this. There is very little to no pressure on the Chinese government when it comes to this energy situation. There's much more pressure, at least, on the entire world economy than there is on China.
U.S. Ambassador to NATO, Matt Whitaker, joins me now. Mr. Ambassador, thank you so much for joining us. So it does look like it's back to the drawing board when it comes to Iran. The president writing on Truth Social yesterday, I have just read the response from Iran's so-called representatives. I don't like it. Totally unacceptable. What do next steps look like?
Well, next steps are certainly to continue to negotiate. President Trump is a deal maker. He's a peacemaker. He certainly has all options at his disposal, including using our awesome military if that's necessary. But really, all military objectives have been completed by the United States.
There's nothing left to bomb. There's nothing left to bomb, people. It would be. Nothing would change if they decided to go back into the war. I've talked about it a million times. We were able to sustain war for 6 weeks, and we went through 50% of our missiles. That means we have a grand total of 12 weeks of war that we are capable of against a middle power like Iran. So if they can, I'm pretty sure that they could last another 6 weeks if we decided to go back to war with them.
In a much different situation from 9 weeks ago, where Iran was menacing not only its neighbors, but with what we found out, their capabilities of their missile program, really the world, including those that could reach here in Europe. And so, President Trump has dramatically changed that situation for the better, and he's going to get the best deal for the American people. And ultimately, this recent proposal from the Iranians wasn't acceptable.
The best deal for the American people would be if he said, we're going home. We're done. All of our stuff, we're moving out. Iran, we're done. You win. That would be the best deal, I think, for the American people. Because I wouldn't have filled up my car the other day. It was $60. My car is not that big. My car is like a full size, like sedan or whatever. Just like a standard car. It's a Ford Fusion, I guess, whatever type of car that is, and it was $60 to fill it up. So I would prefer if we just ended the blockade and just went home and said, Iran, you win. That would be the best thing for me, at least personally.
But President Trump and his team, we're going to continue working on this until we get exactly what we want, which is to make sure that Iran's nuclear ambitions are over and to make sure that they can peacefully coexist in the Middle East with their neighbors.
Yeah, the president has made clear that the U.S. has won this war militarily, but less clear is just how long Iran can withstand our blockade of their ports, with some estimates including...
No, it's perfectly clear. I've told you already. Indefinitely. They can last indefinitely. 100%. They could last 10 years. If we wanted to blockade them, if we could afford to blockade them for 10 years, they would be able to last 10 years. 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. We've been saying that they are going to collapse under the weight of sanctions for like 20 years at this point, and they haven't. So, I mean, with a brief hiatus with the JCPOA or whatever, but you know what I mean. So yeah, they can last indefinitely with this blockade. America cannot.
One U.S. intelligence analysis saying Tehran could withstand a blockade for months. So with that in mind, how much leverage do we have over Iran? Indefinitely they could. Right now, when it comes to getting them back to the negotiating table.
The United States has tremendous leverage. And while I'm not going to comment about alleged intelligence products, what I can tell you is that every single day it gets harder and harder for Iran to pay its soldiers, to continue its economy, to continue what they're trying to do, which is to wait us out. And obviously the president is resolved to win this situation for the American people. And by winning, I mean by getting a deal that accomplishes his goals, opens up the Strait of Hormuz, eliminates and ends their nuclear ambition, and all of the other things that he has proposed in the negotiations. And so, President Trump holds all the cards, will continue to hold those cards until he gets the deal that's necessary for the American people. And quite frankly, the world's a better place because of that.
Okay.
Do you buy it, people? Do you buy it? The more times they say it, do you buy it more and more? That's what they're hoping. They're hoping if they just say it over and over again, that Trump holds all the cards. Trump holds all the cards. Trump holds all the cards. They're like Hypnotoad. They're just telling you over and over and over again. And as long as they keep saying it, maybe one day people will buy it.
Let's talk about NATO, because you recently said that it's currently going through a factory reset, going back to its war-fighting roots, NATO 3.0. What does all of that mean in practice?
Ultimately, it's about returning to its war-fighting roots, to have allies that are capable. I think one of the frustrating things for President Trump and us in this administration is our allies cannot send significant war-fighting ships to help in the Strait of Hormuz. They just don't have those assets.
Yeah, because that wasn't the deal. That wasn't the deal. The deal of NATO was that all of these European countries and various other countries would vassalize themselves to the United States and do whatever the fuck the United States wanted. And in exchange, the United States would protect them and would protect international waters for them so that they could engage in commerce, international commerce, over the seas without interruption, right? Like that was the whole deal of NATO. There was never a part where these countries were supposed to actually, cover their defense or whatever. Like they weren't ever supposed to defend themselves. Actually, in fact, a part of the vassalization process was to make them essentially destitute and like they need America to protect them. And that was a part of our plan as well, so that we would then be able to use them for diplomatic support. So I didn't know being an Mem says, I didn't know being an ally meant you do anything for each other, no questions asked. Yeah, I mean, I think these people, they want to so as America enters into this new era of abandoning soft power in its entirety, they're starting to they're starting to get mad at like the institutions that America themselves created and the way that they created them, and they're starting to abandon, like, they're no longer recognizing the benefit that America got from those institutions. And so when they're getting mad at NATO, like, not defending themselves, it's like that wasn't the reason for NATO. They were never meant to actually be able to defend themselves. They were meant to vassalize themselves. So I don't think anything's going to change about that either. I think that NATO is probably going to end up, I think at this point, NATO is basically already over. Like, if some country did decide to invade a NATO country, like, I don't know if America would even go protect that country or be capable of protecting that country at this point, which in effect just means that NATO is basically dead. It's just kind of like a zombie at this point. Like, it still exists, but it's not really alive or not able to function. America is very emotionally immature, to be honest. I agree. Also, the people in charge of it are also very emotionally immature.
Assets. They are moving quickly to try to replace the assets that they had let deteriorate. But right now, it is a one-way street, and the United States of America delivers for our allies, and we're expecting our allies to deliver for the United States, and they have to show up, and they have to be capable, and they have to invest the money. And what we accomplished last year in The Hague by getting the 5% political agreement now has to turn into real capabilities, things like ships and tanks and air defense systems. And those are the kind of issues that right now we are pushing our allies hard to get that done. And we're going to have a big summit in Ankara, Turkey.
What they want now is they want the allies, quote unquote allies, to buy all of that stuff from America is what they want. They don't, I don't even think they really want them producing it themselves, because that would then, like I said, lead to they're no longer really needing America to protect them from big bad Russia or whoever they're scared of, this week. So I would argue that it would actually be better for them to start producing some of their weapons and stuff domestically or locally and form more blocks of power and cooperation. And even, if you want to have like NATO style, like a European sort of NATO thing where they're all like regionally in a block and they will protect each other in that regard or something. I think that would be better than the current way that NATO is formulated as a protection racket for America.
Summer, where we're going to get a report card on what our allies have done, and we're expecting
get ready for that report
significant investments from last year in The Hague.
Yeah, where do you think our European allies and European countries stand when it comes to this vision?
Yeah, I think in the last year they've spent $100 or $200 billion more than they had, all because of President Trump and what he's done to rejuvenate this alliance and to bring strength finally to this alliance. And the commitment.
I don't know if that's exactly it. I think that I think that it's more that they are. My guess is the reason that they start spending so much more money on defense is more because they are worried that America is incapable of defending them, and so they're like, "Oh, okay, we can't just rely on America anymore. We need to actually be able to somewhat defend ourselves or whatever." So that's kind of why I think that happened. I don't think it's because they're all, worshiping at the altar of Trump and Trump just was able to, smooth talk them all into doing this. I think that this is more, it's for the lobsters. Yeah, exactly.
Commitments are there politically, but it's the year over year, the hard work. And so I'm expecting this year, we're going to see another more than $100 billion. But remember, President Trump has proposed a defense budget for the United States of America of 1.5 trillion. So while 100 billion is a lot of money, we need our allies to continue to move at pace, to continue to spend the money and turn it into real.
Come on, European countries. Why don't you just turn your economy into like America's economy, where the only job that you can have where you're not like a fucking Uber driver or like a minimum wage McDonald's employee is to go work for the State Department and figure out more efficient ways of killing brown people. Like, why don't you just transform your economies into our economy? I'm sure all of them look at our economy and they just long for a $1.5 trillion defense budget that is, that sucks up all of our tax dollars and then produces like jack shit throughout the entire, like I said, they can produce like 20 missiles a year. You say also, how do we spend so much but then only have enough missiles for a few weeks? That's a great question. That's a great question, ma'am. Here, let me do this. Oh, and okay, I might have to, let me see if I can fix this real quick. Sorry. This is the first time I've used this with chat, so I don't know how, okay, we'll just do it like that for now. Maybe I can do this. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay, that's a great question, ma'am. So we spend $1.5 trillion. What usually happens is like most of that money just gets siphoned off to the people who create the contracts, all the bureaucracy, all of that sort of stuff. So what they usually do is it all just goes to the Pentagon. The Pentagon, by the way, hasn't passed an audit in years. I don't, have they ever passed an audit? I actually don't know if they've ever passed an audit. And half of the money is unaccounted for. So it all goes into extremely inefficient, like super hyper technical, projects like the F-35, which was like a $1 trillion project in and of itself, that Iran's like duct tape and bubblegum air defenses were able to nick one of them. So it's like we just pump all of this money into these huge contracts, and most of it, I think, just gets siphoned off into the pockets of our elites. I don't think it actually goes into actual productive capabilities. I don't think our system of government is even capable of like I say, our system of government under like private capital for like our military industrial complex is not even capable of producing the weapons of war, like the tools of death that we like, that our pedo billionaires even want to use on all of these brown countries at this point. Like it's kind of like it's very ironic in a way how like it's in like all of like we hyper capitalize and hyper financialize everything so much to the point that we're not even able to do the imperial, our imperial misadventures in the Middle East that we the same elites want to do. So yeah, anyway, that's kind of what's going on there. But yeah, you say about the audits too. Yeah, I think a lot of people know about that at this point. But yeah, about half of the money is completely unaccounted for, which means it's probably, like I said, in these contracts, it's just a bunch of bureaucrats just like siphoning it off the top, is the way that I see it. If we ever want to be able to compete like as an actual military power in the future, we would have to have the government take ownership of those like private industries that produce our tools of death. But I don't necessarily, I would prefer them to be owned and operated by the government just so that there was more accountability. But I don't personally want us to be spending all of our money on these tools of death. They're worse at managing money than you were with unmedicated ADHD. You're not wrong. The sheer scale that they're doing it is pretty wild. But okay, let's go ahead and move on. Let's go to I don't think they really got that much into
this week
and into the Trump G stuff, like the meeting that they're going to have with China. So let's go ahead and move on and watch this video. Hopefully they'll talk a little bit more about what's going on, what they're going to be negotiating about. Because honestly, I think that it's more like Trump wants it mainly to be about like trade or something, but I'm sure with the Iran war, that's going to take up, the vast majority of conversations. Okay, so let's go.
This week, President Trump heads to Beijing for a pivotal summit with Chinese President Xi Jinping. The Iran war is likely to take center stage in that meeting, with Trump expected to call on Xi to persuade Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. This as the two leaders try to preserve a fragile trade truce and tackle points of contention, including tariffs, technology, and Taiwan.
President Trump is going into this meeting terribly weakened. And China, as you pointed out, is doing quite well because of their alternate energy investments, because of their coal supplies, because of their huge stockpile. So the president is going to Xi in his position of weakness, not strength. I don't expect there's going to be a lot obtained here because...
I agree. I agree that he's going in an incredible position of weakness. Primarily, the Iran war still being ongoing is incredibly embarrassing because they had to reschedule once because of the hot war. I have a feeling that the reason that America hasn't re-entered the Iran war and full hot war sort of perspective is because of this meeting, because it would be incredibly embarrassing for Trump to have to reschedule it again. So he's just kind of like, he's not going to at least start that up until after the meeting, I would probably guess. But yeah, regardless of just the pure embarrassment, though, I think that China, like I said in the last video, China can outlast this current situation. They're perfectly positioned for this exact scenario, where they can outlast, I think, the energy markets being destabilized much better than the rest of the world. I'm not saying America can outlast it to an extent as well. We just have high gas prices, which, is annoying to people. And we already have an affordability issue in America. So it will, impact people's lives in a negative manner and get people more pissed off. But the American government is so disconnected from the, the needs of the masses that I don't even know if they really care that much if Americans are suffering. So whereas in China, I just think they're just very well prepared with the sheer amount of stockpiles of oil and all of their alternate energy sources. And like I said before, Iran's oil is only 10% of Chinese energy. So and they're probably still shipping some through shadow fleets. So yeah, I think that it's ridiculous to think that Trump would in any way be in a good bargaining position here.
Again, she is looking at a president who's in a difficult situation.
Joining me now is former FBI Assistant Special Agent in Charge, Michael Feinberg. He is an MS Now national security and intelligence analyst, and he also worked on some of the most high-profile counterintelligence investigations of China. And I understand, my friend, that you speak Mandarin, which I'm not going to ask you to do for this interview, but it's very impressive. That said, does the fact that Trump is heading...
I wouldn't mind learning Mandarin someday. I feel like we got to, right? If China's going to be the next regional superpower, maybe I can get a head start. Or not regional, the next global superpower. But that's not the real reason. The real reason is that I already learned a lot of Japanese. So I know, I kind of stopped at the kanji. I learned some of the kanji, like the more, those are the traditional Chinese characters that were adapted into Japanese. So I at least have like some in like the back of my mind, some memory of a lot of those that I feel like could help me learn. But also, like, one of my friends speaks Mandarin, so it would be, I think, cool to be able to talk with him like that, maybe, or like practice. I would have someone to practice with if I ever wanted to, but I don't know. I just think it would be cool to learn that language, and I feel like I kind of have a head start with knowing some Japanese.
Into this summit, needing China's help on Iran fundamentally weaken his leverage with Xi Jinping, because Iran is China's closest partner in the Middle East. So how might Beijing play its hand in discussions on this conflict? Does China gain strategic advantage on other issues that are being discussed?
Yeah, well, China's gaining strategic advantage on a whole host of issues that are undermining U.S. national security and influence on the world stage. The sort of theme for the past 18 months or so of this administration has been we can go at it alone. And as a result, we have been pursuing policies around the globe that our allies are not supportive, that do not appear to really gain us any strategic advantage, like, largely abandoning our support of Ukraine for no real proffered reason whatsoever, or doing things that outright alienate the rest of the world, like strikes on unarmed boats in the Caribbean. And as a result, a lot of nations that previously would want nothing to do with China, because it is an expansionist authoritarian regime, are now
expansionist. Hello. What? When was the last time China has engaged in any sort of imperial act? I mean, I'm serious. I don't know. Let's see if Google AI knows. When was the last time China tried to expand borders? I don't know about that. Okay. Maybe they're talking about Taiwan. Here, let me just pull it up. I mean, some of this, I'm like, okay. According to Google AI overview, China's last actively engaged in territorial expansion and border changes in the late 1990s through 2000s, primarily by surveying, renegotiating, and reclaiming land, such as fixing the border with Russia, 2004, 2005. I feel like that was negotiated, not like not a war with Russia. I don't think they went to war with Russia for that. And surveying the borders with Tajikistan, 2008, 2009. As far as I don't remember them going to war then either. I'm talking about imperial expansion. I'm not talking about negotiated stuff, but or negotiated border disputes. But I guess that's kind of, I mean, you could potentially count that. But and active ongoing territorial disputes. India, I mean, they have been having some, I know they had some border clashes a few years ago, but I don't think that they've been expanding into Indian territory. And then obviously they talk about the South China Sea. Here, there's a Wikipedia on Chinese expansionism. Tang Dynasty, Yuan Dynasty, Qing Dynasty, Republic of China. I know that, Japan tried to steal their territory through military conflict. As Korea maybe. People's reply to annex Tibet. I guess that was in the. So it looks to me like Sino-Vietnamese War, so like the Vietnam War. Okay, so I mean, all in all, let's see. I mean, there have been minor things, I would say, in general, that like that they have engaged, I guess, in some small amounts of you could maybe call it imperialism, but I don't know all of these conflicts super well or whatever. My argument would be that it pales in comparison to like Americans' acts of imperial aggression. I think that America, with its thousands of bases all across the world, constantly destabilizing regimes all across the world, constantly like destroying countries like Libya, Syria, obviously Afghanistan, Iraq, Vietnam, Korea, I think that America's imperial machine is significantly more violent and oppressive than China could ever like dream to be honest, because I think that China at this point in time, I don't think China cares about expansion at all, really. I think it cares solely about maximizing how much it can trade with the world is what it feels like to me.
Looking to it,
which by the way, to me is, I think, a much more peaceful way to deal with the rest of the world than constantly trying to destabilize regimes and influence people through military or covert operations.
Expansionist authoritarian regime are now looking to it to make bilateral agreements and deals that are going to weaken the U.S. economically and that are also going to make other nations unlikely to support us if there ever was a hot war with the PRC. So the fact that we now need China's support to help with a war of our own making.
Well, they also all see the writing on the wall. Everybody sees the writing on the wall, man. America is a dying empire. No, it's undeniable at this point. Everybody sees the writing on the wall, and they are trying to diversify their defense agreements. And it's a good strategy. If you are one of these countries, you should be trying to diversify your defense agreements, because America has shown, especially through Iran, that it is not capable of protecting people, and it is not, wise to have American military bases on your soil. I'm just saying, I think that is a good strategy from these countries.
Iran, that is quickly becoming a quagmire, really.
Quagmire.
It's hard to see how there will be anything other than unalloyed success for China and Xi Jinping coming out of this meeting.
Semaphore reports that the Trump administration plans to invite CEOs from NVIDIA, Apple, Exxon, Boeing, and some other big companies to.
Okay, for those who don't really who don't think that America is just like five companies in a trench coat or whatever, like that our government isn't just five companies using our government as a fleshlight to get as much as they possibly can out of the government. Look at this right here. Trump administration plans to invite CEOs from NVIDIA, Apple, Exxon on China trip. Dear God. What the fuck, man? It's the government. Trump is the government. This is so embarrassing. To bring fucking CEOs, stupid ass. By the way, most CEOs are dumb as fuck. Okay, they're dumb as rocks. They don't know shit from their ass. They will not be able to contribute anything to a actual diplomatic negotiation or whatever. You need fucking experts there, not goddamn CEOs. But this is so embarrassing to me that we are putting our fail son CEOs and we're sending them over to China to try to negotiate better deals for our pedo billionaires or whatever, as opposed to the president of the United States and his advisors who are supposed to be the ones doing this. This is pathetic. This is loser shit. I can't believe we're doing this.
To accompany the president to Beijing. So what does it tell you that the administration is bringing this delegation of America's biggest business leaders while still talking tough on China? Is it meant to put Americans' economic power on display while its economy is absorbing the painful effects of this war? Is it a power play?
I do not think it is a power play. I think it is a signal of what ultimately matters to this administration, which is fundamentally transactional, short-term transactional in nature. And what it signifies.
Hey, that's capitalism, baby. How dare you unpatriotic swine, claim that short-term transactional approaches are bad. How dare you? That is our economy that you're talking about. That is capitalism that you're talking about. My God, what an unpatriotic person. Jeez.
Is that any business deal that brings short-term earnings for American corporations is going to get precedence over long-term strategic interests. Everybody
That's capitalism,
plays
baby.
Nice in public, but the tech companies in the U.S. government have historically been sort of at odds with respect to the PRC. The United States government, cognizant of what a rising China means in terms of global power politics, has always wanted to sort of keep their technological sector at bay and therefore make it difficult for them to obtain U.S. technology. The tech companies, on the other hand, very much want access to the PRC's market, and they want access to the PRC's cheaper labor. And as a result, they've always gritted their teeth and complied with export control regimes of their products, but they've never been happy about it. And the fact that
they don't give a shit. What are you talking about? They're companies. Their goal is to maximize profits. They don't give a shit about whether it's from China or America. They international companies are not aligned with any country. They don't give a shit about the well-being of like any particular country at all. They solely care about making as much money as possible, no matter the cost to the people of those countries. So that's dumb to think that they would care. Like they're just doing whatever they can to maximize profits. Yeah, that's silly.
Trump is bringing them along as private parties into governmental negotiations very much signals to me that what is going to come out of these meetings is going to be very good for the short-term quarterly earnings of the CEOs and their companies that are tagging along, and potentially deleterious for stopping China long-term from gaining technologies that could ultimately be used against us.
Yeah, good analysis there. Thank you for presenting that.
Yeah, dude, all of this is inevitable. It was written down in the system of government that we created. Like this is the capitalism was always going to turn into this. It was always going to turn into international capitalism. And once international capitalism takes hold, there will be no concept, no loyalty to nation states whatsoever. I think that like this was stuff that was like predicted like a long time ago. I don't know why people are surprised by this. This was the natural direction that capitalism was going to go, and it was, you know, easily foreseeable. And there's really nothing you can do about it. Like you can say, oh, how dare they not align with America's interests, but what the fuck are you going to do about it? They're the ones with all the political power. They're the ones with all of the money. Who are you? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're the international, you know, pedo billionaires. Like, how dare you talk to our pedo billionaires like that? Like, that's kind of like the philosophy of like the American elite, at least. So it's like, I don't know. This is one of those things where I'm like, I don't. They seem to fundamentally misunderstand the American system of government, like of capitalism, and they seem to misunderstand like the loyalties of that system are not aligned with the country itself. And I don't know, maybe I'm just like, again, maybe it's just like me being like too like annoyed that people don't see the things that are just so obvious to me, I guess. But I just wish that, you know, I wish people just thought a little bit more critically. That's all.
Let me pivot here because MS Now, Michael, reports that FBI Director Kash Patel ordered the polygraphing of more.
I'm going to move on now. I don't need to hear about Cash Money Patel and his, you know, paranoid, like alcohol-induced paranoia, paranoid lie detector testing every single person he comes into contact with or whatever. I might cover that at some other point, but it doesn't need to be a part of this segment. So I'm going to go ahead and move on. We talked about Iran a lot already. Let's take a little breather. This is just going to be a nice, cute, fun one. I'm trying to bolster my this is gonna be like a Miss Rachel type segment. I'm trying to get like I'm trying to make the ADL as angry as they possibly can be. So I'm going to cover cute kids in Gaza doing cute kid things and see if it makes Zionist heads explode because they can't stand seeing anything that even remotely humanizes Palestinians. So we're going to watch this cute video of a bunch of kids in the rubble of Gaza, you know, just doing what they can to have a good time. And we're just going to watch it and enjoy it, people. So this is breakdancing is helping children in Gaza find relief from the trauma of war. So let's go ahead and watch this. Yeah. The movements we teach them are based on scientific principles that primarily help the child with psychological release. Especially from the difficult situations we experienced during the 3 years of war, a genocide. But yeah. Many children face PTSD, and we have a significant role in activating the child and moving them from an atmosphere
احنا لنا دور كبير في ان ننشط الطفل ونطلعه من جو الاكتئاب والاحباط الى جو الفرح
of depression and frustration to one of joy and human interaction with his family and with himself. That's awesome. And these kids are crushing it, dude. They got more moves than I do. I am super ultra mega white when it comes to dancing. I am not a good dancer. So these kids are already they're leapfrogging me in their dancing abilities.
والتعامل البشري بينه وبين اهله وبينه وبين ذاته.
وانا برجع هذا المركز لانه اكتشفت انه
This is the kid now. I come to the center because I discovered that I have a talent for breakdancing. This is Habiba Abu Kater. And I also come here to release the negative energy inside of me. That's awesome. Whoa. Oh, okay. I've been here 4 years at the center. I am happy with the performance that I have developed. I mean, I think she's crushing it. I think they're all crushing it, to be honest. Sorry, I missed what they said before that. Or, oh, okay, maybe I didn't, actually. With the captains who were with me and stood with me a lot, they helped me as I started from scratch to succeed. Oh, is that Japanese? Oh, in case you thought I was lying before. Kian, I can't see the... Kianfu? Kianfu? I can't see what's behind that, but Ikazu. Okay, you see? I know my katakana. I am able to read most hiragana, katakana stuff. I can even understand a lot of it. But kanji is where I get a little tricked up. So I wasn't lying when I said that I know Japanese. Yeah, no, they were crushing it. Go kids, you know. I love anything like this, man. It just, sometimes you got to get yourself a little hopeful. They're in a terrible situation over there. The genocide is ongoing. And so, you know, keep fighting, keep breakdancing, do what you need to do to survive. I also saw a guy, this was back a while ago, but a guy who worked out and like, because I'm like, I like to lift weights or whatever, a guy who is, you know, finding ways to work out amongst the rubble of Gaza. And it was also very inspirational. And I don't know, I just think it's nice and wholesome. I had to take a break from the serious shit because now we're about to go back into more serious shit because, ugh. Okay, here we go, people.
It's really
okay, apparently Prime Minister Netanyahu, I like to call him Satan himself, is he did a 60 Minutes interview. I've tried watching 60 Minutes before, but they always copyright struck me. So I don't watch their stuff directly anymore. So I'm going to watch this video, this coverage of their stuff. I'm hoping that they'll have like, you know, important quotes, you know, things that we can talk about or whatever. And also a side benefit. We don't have to listen to his satanic garbled up demon voice that he has. So, you know, that's a plus. So let's go ahead and watch this. Hopefully we'll get some information about this 60 Minutes interview that he did.
Minister Netanyahu has made it clear that for Israel, the war is not over. In a clip that has been released from his exclusive interview with CBS's 60 Minutes, which is set to air this evening, the Israeli prime minister says Iran's nuclear program is still very much intact, even if Israel and the U.S. have degraded a lot of it, and that it must be
So I think it's Israel PM to 60 Minutes. I think it accomplished a great deal, but it's not over because there's still nuclear material, enriched uranium, that has to be taken out of Iran. There's still enrichment sites that have to be dismantled. There are still proxies that Iran supports. There are ballistic missiles that they still want to produce. Yeah, well, you're not going to be able to do shit about any of that because America wasn't able to do shit about any of that. So, sorry, sucks to suck.
Be fully dismantled. Well, when he was asked how he envisions that happening, the Israeli leader was blunt. He said, quote, "You go in and you take it out."
He was blunt. No, you mean he was stupid. That's not going to happen. Like, I mean, if it does happen, like, okay, if it does happen, it would involve dozens, if not hundreds of deaths, incredible amounts of like military, military vehicles and assets being destroyed. And it has a likelihood of not even succeeding as well. So it would be, I mean, we saw what happened when we just tried to rescue one dude, one real person, apparently, near Isfahan last time when that guy was across enemy lines, and we put we sent in like hundreds of aircraft, hundreds of helicopters, hundreds of people to create a perimeter and then create a landing strip and land down there. And my personal opinion is that they were doing this as either a practice run or an actual attempt to get the nuclear material. And they were under heavy fire the entire time. They got the guy. Again, I haven't seen him. I haven't heard of him. I haven't heard any quotes from him. He is off the radar. He is completely gone. So I assume that there really actually probably wasn't a real person behind enemy lines that they were that happened there. But anyway, they lost all of their they had to blow up all of their military vehicles. As far as we know, there weren't any deaths, but I mean, there potentially were. They hide a lot of that stuff too. So it would be a disaster if they decided to do that. That's why I keep saying it's like a lot of these things are just not possible. Like they're just not possible. Like maybe with a full like occupation, but even then that would be that has a chance of not succeeding either, because Iran is way bigger and more complicated than Afghanistan. Like there's no guarantee that we would be able to successfully, take over the entire country or whatever, or occupy the entire country. So like even with that, I'm not even sure if that's possible. So Netanyahu is just living in a fantasy world as well. But that Zionism in and of itself is like detached from reality. Like you have to be detached from reality to have a like Zionism in your brain.
And that the ideal situation would be an agreement with Iran that would allow for both the U.S. and Israel to physically do that. Still, Netanyahu refused to clarify what will actually happen if an agreement is not ultimately reached with the Islamic Republic. And joining us now is our senior correspondent, Owen Alterman, and our security analyst, Yaakov Lapin, to break this down. First of all, I just kind of want to ask you, Owen, what do you make of, those comments that Netanyahu made in that CBS interview? He seemed to suggest that agreement would almost be the only way in which they would be able to physically access this uranium.
It's a risky interview. Look, Israel's under attack in the United States.
Well, he was on Barry Weiss's CBS, so it wasn't really that risky. Let's be real. They're not going to question him that hard. But he is, I guess it's risky in the sense that nobody wants to fucking hear from him right now, that he's incredibly unpopular and that Israel is like a 90-10 issue amongst Democrats and like a 60-40 issue amongst everybody. Like nobody likes Israel. So I guess in that regard, it's a little bit of a risky interview.
Uranium.
It's a risky interview. Look, Israel's under attack in the United States after an unpopular war in which Netanyahu personally has accused Natasha of dragging Donald Trump into it. So for Netanyahu to go on national television in the U.S. and make a suggestion about what needs to be done and hint at a possible escalation, you ask yourself what the potential upside is of going on air and doing that. I think going in and defending the war and defending why the war was fought, and maybe that's what will be there in the broader interview, I think there's some justification for that, to try to sell the war to the American public. But to actually go out and call for something more and hint that there should be an escalation, as important as it is, we all share that goal. But
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I honestly don't know who is giving him these ideas or whatever. Like the time he went on like fucking, was it Nelk Boys or whatever, like like how incredibly that backfired or whatever. Like I don't know who is telling him to go do this stuff. It's done, man. You're not able to propagandize in the same way that you were before to the American to the American population. It's done. Nobody wants to see you. Nobody wants to hear from you. And newsflash, nobody is ever going to want to see you. Nobody is ever going to want to hear from you ever again. Nobody is ever going to want to have Israel propagandists come in and dictate to the American public how all of their tax dollars need to be sent to Israel ASAP so that they can kill brown people over there. Like that, it's done. Your time in the sun, it's over. It's never coming back. Okay. So you need to get that through your thick fucking skull that you don't like. This is pointless to do, if anything. And I would argue is probably actually net negative for Israel for him to come over and do this, especially if he's arguing, like he said, for like restarting the hot war or whatever, when this is incredibly unpopular and Israel is incredibly unpopular. And most people think that Israel dragged America into this war.
You wonder if this was the right motive and the right strategy to get there.
Right. I want to talk about the politics of this interview in another minute. But first, I'd like to turn to you, Yaakov, and actually talk about kind of the messaging there, right? Because on one hand, he said the only way to actually dismantle the nuclear operation in Iran is to physically go in and get that uranium. That hasn't been something that either Israel or the United States have been able to do from a military perspective. So that leaves an agreement as ultimately the only option. So to say that this war can't end until that happens, what do you make of that?
So first of all, I would say that extracting the uranium by force, I wouldn't say that that's something that the U.S. and Israel couldn't do. It's something they've chosen.
Yeah, it's something they couldn't do. If they thought they could do it, I think that they would have already tried it. And maybe that was what that, like I said, what that operation to get that dude who was across enemy lines or whatever, maybe that was that attempt. But I do think that if they thought it was like possible, or that there wouldn't be, tens, if not hundreds of deaths in the process, I think that they would have probably already gone for it.
Chosen not to do until now. Why have they chosen not to do this until now? Because it's an incredibly complex operation.
But they have said, I mean, both sides have said multiple times that we have, dismantled the existential threat that this, uranium has posed. That clearly hasn't happened.
So let's break this down. There's the issue of the highly enriched uranium. And I'm just saying that there is the option of a forceful extraction. It's just an incredibly complex operation. And obviously, they would much rather settle this.
You notice their language, too. They do this a lot. They say it's a complex operation, as opposed to saying what it really is, a risky operation. And also, what would be the end state of that, right? Okay, Iran no longer has, let's say you get every speck of enriched uranium off of Iranian soil. Okay, that doesn't do anything about the drones. That doesn't do anything about the missiles. Which is their main power projection, are those two things. The nuclear issue was always just an excuse for war. It's not a real thing. And in the same vein, it would be an excuse for victory. Like, it wouldn't be a real victory. It would be an excuse for victory. Iran would still control the Strait of Hormuz. Iran would still have all of their drones and missile capabilities and be able to power project throughout the region. There's nothing that Iran would still be supporting Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis. Like, there's nothing that they can do about any of that. So, the only thing that would accomplish would be a propaganda win that they could potentially use as an excuse to end the war. But I got news for you. If you want, you can just end the war anytime you want. Like, you don't need the excuse. It makes you not look stupid, I guess, if you have the excuse. But like, you don't need that to end the war. And then the final thing I would say is the nuclear stuff can be built up again really fast by Iran if they wanted to. And also, if they really wanted a nuke, if they truly desired a nuke, they could be like, hey, China, give us a nuke. And China would be like, okay, here's a nuke. And then they would have it. It would take like one day, and there's nothing Israel or America could do about it. And then Iran would be nuclear armed. So like, who cares? Like, it's not like, that's why I keep thinking like this is all just propaganda spin. And the whole reason that they would sacrifice lives and like military equipment and all that would literally just be for an excuse to declare victory, which is so stupid, man.
The deal in terms of that angle. Now, when you zoom out, what is the Iranian nuclear program? It's not just the HEU, the highly enriched uranium, which right now is not accessible to the Iranians. It's buried and under constant surveillance. And if they try to approach it, they would be bombed. They know that. That's why they're not approaching it. So it's on Iranian soil. It's not accessible to the Iranians. Then you've got the 3 uranium enrichment sites, Isfahan, Fordow, Qom. These are places, and Natanz, of course, these are places where the uranium was being enriched. Those were destroyed back in June. They haven't been rebuilt. Iran is not enriching uranium.
Oh my God, these people are idiots, man. They weren't destroyed. I guarantee you, they were fine after that. Okay, they are underneath mountains. Not even your stupid ass bunker buster bombs or whatever are going to be able to reach them. Like, my God, man, these people, they drink their own propaganda like it's like, I don't know, like it's Diet Coke or something.
There's nobody who's monitoring Iran now who thinks that Iran is enriching uranium in any significant manner whatsoever. Their enrichment infrastructure has been destroyed and has not been rebuilt.
There's no evidence of that. There's no evidence that it was actually destroyed in any meaningful way from those strikes on like Midnight Hammer or whatever stupid operation name they gave it.
So the existential threat has been pushed back. The issue now is we're zooming in on what's left, and that's the uranium itself. But they don't have the capacity right now to enrich that uranium. Now, will they try to rebuild that capacity? Who knows? I mean, they want to rebuild it. We know that they do. But even if they do, Israel has a very large head start. They would watch.
I don't think Israel, I'm going to be honest, I don't even necessarily think Israel cares that much about the nuclear thing, because I don't think that they even think that Iran is actually planning to break away to a bomb anytime soon. So like I just said, this is all just a propaganda spin looking for a way out of the war, essentially. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Those efforts. And I would assume, call it a wild guess, that Israel's not going to sit on the sides and allow them to rebuild their nuclear program and just get there in the last minute like last time.
The fuck are you going to do about it, bitch? You're not going to do shit about it. You can't do anything about it. Iran is more powerful than you. Like, what? You can't do anything about it. Like, you're not going to be able to bomb them any more than America was able to. And America was unable to destroy their enriched uranium. America was unable to destroy their enrichment capabilities. So what the fuck makes you think that you're going to be able to? Like, you're a million times weaker than America, and you're essentially just an extension of America anyway. So I don't know. This is all like fucking like hopium from this dude.
I don't think that's realistic. So at the end of the day, the nuclear threat has been significantly rolled back when you look at enrichment, when you look at the facilities, the infrastructure.
Okay, I think I'm done with this. I was hoping that there would be more of the actual interview in this clip. Like I said, I can't watch the 60 Minutes clips because they copyright strike me when I do it. So yeah, unfortunately, that's that. Okay, well, it was still a good discussion, I guess. So it's not a complete loss. Okay, I think I had data center stuff in my title. I can't remember if I had anything else. I'll try to get to that one too. Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and move on. Actually, let's do a quick Hantavirus update. You know, we've been trying to keep track of some of the Hantavirus, this new virus that is spread through like I have squirrels on my brain, rodent droppings and stuff. I think like breathing that in, and potentially there may be a capability for human to human contact with, which if that's the case is like the scariest part about it, because that means it might actually spread. So let's see, let's go ahead and hear about this. This is over 90 people evacuated from Hantavirus ship. So Argentina tourist hotspot denies closing or causing Hantavirus outbreak. So maybe Argentina, wouldn't surprise me. Malays, Argentina is not doing the best at protecting people from disease outbreak. I think they have a very RFK Jr. attitude when it comes to this sort of stuff. And, we're seeing how that's doing over in Florida with the measles outbreaks over there. So anyway, this is from BBC.
MV Hondius began its journey on the 1st of April in Argentina, and the first passenger who died is reported to have boarded the ship from the southernmost city in the country. Local officials are trying to establish where the virus could have come from. Matthias Zibbel from the BBC's Mundo service reports from Ushuaia, where the cruise began.
This is Ushuaia, the southernmost tip of Argentina, often called the city at the end of the world. From here, the cruise ship MV Hondius started its journey on the 1st of April, and this is where the...
That's a small cruise ship. I'm used to the mega cruise ships of America. That's a tiny one.
Hantavirus infection is suspected to have come on board. This dock attracts thousands of cruise ship tourists who want to visit Antarctica and isolated islands in the Atlantic Ocean. It's still a mystery how the virus got into the cruise. Local authorities say it's not present in the province. The tourists here say that the Hantavirus outbreak in the cruise ship didn't stop them from making the trip.
We did reconsider, but then after seeing that it's very difficult to transmit and it was really only a problem for the people on the cruise ship, we decided it was okay to come here and be safe.
We had a few friends reach out and be like, oh, isn't that where the hantavirus is? But we also talked to some people in Buenos Aires and they seemed pretty unconcerned.
As the first patients to show symptoms...
I don't know if I would go there this close to the outbreak personally. That's just me.
...have died, it has made it difficult for the local authorities to identify how the virus made its way onto the vessel. Some reports point to a landfill like this, where tourists go bird watching and might have been exposed to the virus-infested rodents. Some people in Ushuaia are not happy about the suggestion that the outbreak might have started here. Authorities say that this area has never registered a hantavirus case in its history.
The most plausible scenario is that the tourists were exposed to the virus between 2 and 4 weeks before their voyage in northern Patagonian provinces of Argentina, where the disease is endemic.
The Argentine...
okay, this is a classic Westerner doesn't know geography thing. I didn't know that Patagonia was a place. I thought it was just a store. So I did learn something from this video. Let's check. Let's see what's going on more with Hantavirus. Let's go ahead and hit this one up too.
France's health minister has said that a French national has tested positive for hantavirus following her evacuation from the cruise liner MV Hondius. Now, her condition is said to be deteriorating. Meanwhile, the US says one of the 17 Americans being repatriated from the cruise ship has shown mild symptoms, and another has tested positive for the Andes strain of the virus, which is the one which is transmissible between humans. British passengers who are on board the ship have arrived back in the UK. They'll be isolated at a hospital in Merseyside, and they arrived at Arrow Park Hospital last night after being flown to the UK from Tenerife. Now, the news comes as the head of the World Health Organization says that the US's decision not to follow WHO guidance to isolate passengers for 42 days may have risks. Well,
what? Oh no.
That the US's decision not to follow WHO guidance to isolate passengers for 42 days may have risks.
It's like we won another COVID here, man. Trump was like, I didn't kill enough old people last time. I'm tired of these old people. I want them all dead. And he's like, we're going to get Hantavirus. We're going to spread it all over our country. And this time we're going to get them all. No more old people, right, people? That's what Trump and RFK Jr. are saying.
Well, our colleagues are on location. Our Spain correspondent Guy Hedgecote is live from us in Tenerife, and Vincent McAviney is at Arrow Park for us as well. Guy, let's start with you. So just bring us up to date. Where are we with the passengers that have been moved off this cruise ship?
Well, yesterday, around 90 passengers were brought from the cruise ship here onto Tenerife, and then swiftly taken to flights that repatriated them. Those were passengers representing 19 countries. There are just a few passengers left, just over 20 left to be repatriated today. There will be one flight heading to the Netherlands later today, and then the final flight taking passengers back home will go to Australia, probably this afternoon or this evening. After that, the Honduras ship will continue on its way with around 30 crew members who will still be on board to its final destination, which is Rotterdam in the Netherlands, and that will take just a few days. Here, the health ministry and the Spanish government has said that the whole operation has been very successful. They did use very strict security measures to make sure that there was no interaction between local people and the passengers coming off the boat, and also that the passengers spent as little time here on land in Tenerife as possible.
And interestingly, we're now hearing that a French passenger who was repatriated on a chartered flight from Tenerife is showing signs of hantavirus, and her conditions being described as deteriorating. Just different ways that different countries are removing their citizens.
I still don't know. I guess it killed 3 people, right, on the cruise ship. I don't know how deadly it is normally, like what it's like how deadly it is in compared to like COVID or something. I do think that it doesn't transmit as well, except for that like Andes one or whatever that they were talking about that might transfer human to human. That's the only one I'm worried about. I've talked about it before, but anything that has to do with being like from bites or whatever is terrible. Like it's terrible at transmitting. Like there's no way that it'll transmit very far or like be very I don't think anything that's bite determined would ever turn into a pandemic. I think only respiratory or like human to human interactions would. And also like not that many people are going into places, I think, with a lot of like rat and mouse species. So in general, I think getting it naturally or like getting it like from non-human sources is like also not going to really spread that well. It's only the human to human interaction part that it is kind of scary to me.
From Tenerife.
Yes, that's right. And when the Health Minister Monica Garcia was talking about that yesterday, that specific case, she said, well, this is quite possible. And essentially, there's nothing that the Spanish authorities can do if people, after they have left Tenerife, they start to develop symptoms or even test positive. When we've seen that in a couple of cases now. The Spanish authorities simply say they've done all they can. When people leave Tenerife, they have to undergo the necessary quarantine and the observation necessary. But clearly, there are concerns if people are showing symptoms or testing positive after leaving the boat.
OK, Guy, for the time being, thank you so much. Right, let's cross over to Vincent McAviney, who's at Arrow Park here in the UK, where the British nationals have now arrived. Vincent, talk us through their situation.
Yeah, that's right. They landed last night at Manchester Airport, and then in full PPE gear, they were bussed here to Arrow Park Hospital, which is outside Birkenhead on the Wirral, just sort of to the west of Liverpool, for anyone that doesn't know the UK. The 20 that are British. There is also a German citizen who's a UK resident and a Japanese passenger. They're all inside the hospital behind me now for a 3-day observation period in which they're being tested and checked to see whether or not anyone has the virus. No one at the moment is showing any symptoms of it, but that will then lead to a 42-day quarantine period. Now, those who are able to return home will be able to do so. But if they, for instance, have other family that haven't been on the cruise at home, then they're going to have to stay here at this hospital in special accommodation, completely separate. It'll be away from the...
Better safe than sorry, I say. I would much rather us be doing that than whatever the fuck we're doing in the US, where we're just letting people be like, you're probably fine, and then letting them go spread it to whoever, you know, whatever schlub they see at like Costco or wherever they go. So okay, let's see. Let's move on to, oh man, I might just I think I'm gonna have to skip the data center one. It's not that important. It's really like it's about data center and our issues with being able to power data centers. We're unable to produce anything in America, and that includes energy. So but that'll be a persistent problem going forward, so it doesn't matter if I skip it for a day. I did want to watch this video though.
I don't feel as
I don't know who this person is, Fairy Princess Lucy. But I did want to it caught my eye, right? It was the title of this one is called "What is a Chaser? A Chill Transgender Guide." So I'm going to assume that this person is trans. I'm just kind of making an assumption, and I'm assuming that that she'll say in the video itself as well. But chasers are an interesting subject matter to me because they're usually, for those unaware, a chaser is somebody who actively pursues trans people for, sex, essentially. And a lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of time, chasers tend to have abhorrent politics and usually hate trans people, like generally speaking, or like they advance policies like that are bad for trans people, or they have a lot of times they have like a nuclear family like that they're portraying to the world, like with a wife and kids and stuff, but on the side they're like chasing trans people or like for sex. So I'm curious what this person, Fairy Princess Lucy, has to say about this. So like I said, I've never seen this channel before, so we're gonna analyze this video together. Right off the bat, I'm seeing a old school Windows sort of setup for this. So that's an interesting setup. So the pinned comment says, "Tried my best to explore a slightly heavier topic, but in a comfy manner. Let me know what you think." So let's go ahead and watch it. We'll see what we think.
I don't feel there's yet a simple video that covers what a chaser is, how to avoid chasers, and what isn't a chaser, right? I feel like videos about this topic are usually very finger pointy or trying to dunk on people and that kind of thing, and that's not what this is really going to be.
And by the way, for people who are unaware, I am a cis heterosexual man. My knowledge of trans people is just what I know from YouTube videos and the occasional trans person that I know in real life. And when I go to drag bars, I guess I sometimes like hang out or see trans people. So I am by no means an expert. I'm sure that I have lots of blind spots as well. I'm a person who likes to learn. So, let's learn together.
As is the nature of this topic, this video I guess I'm going to informally rate PG, but this video will cover topics such as dating, sexuality, that kind of thing. So just keep that in mind, okay?
It's no wonder you're the chaser who has
Ooh, a Pokemon fan.
However, this is still a video on my channel, so let's keep this as clean as possible, okay? All right, so what is a chaser? Generally speaking, a chaser will refer to an individual that will go after or date trans women, not seeing them as people, but as, well, a desire thing, right? Rather than seeing trans people as human beings, these people will see trans people as just a plaything, so to speak, in a sexual context. So
to me, it's very similar. It's a fetishization sort of thing. It's like if you want to equate it to something that might be more normalized or like that more people would be aware of, it's, I think, very similar to how people fetishize Asian women in particular. And they will, they have like, oh yeah, I want to date an Asian girl or something, right? And usually it has to do with like a very misogynistic view of Asian people in general, or like Asian women in general. And like and just like an over sexualization of them in their head, which means that they aren't able to really see them as people, but rather see them as a gratification of their sexual desires. So I kind of view it as in a very similar lens to that.
That dehumanization is the main attribute that I think determines what makes someone a chaser, right? So if you've ever used like any dating app, literally ever, you will come across these people surprisingly frequently. Heck, if you just exist as a trans person on the internet, you've probably seen a DM from these kind of people before, and it can be very uncomfortable, right?
I do like the cozy vibes, though. I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of expecting this video to be a little bit more, like maybe like a little bit more like buttoned up and stuff or whatever, but this is very much like she's just like explaining this to the camera with a nice cozy song on in the background that I'm enjoying it a lot.
Trans people, like any other person, is just a person. Sure, you might have interests in like a sexual or dating area, but that doesn't make you inherently less of a human being. But to explain what isn't a chaser, and I think this is a bit more of a contentious talking point amongst trans community, but if someone is attracted to someone that happens to be transgender and still sees them as a person, that is not being a chaser. That's just being attracted to someone that's trans. Does a straight guy...
Yeah, and you can also... I think there's also varying degrees, right? You can also, for instance, like you can have a attraction to a certain type of person. Like you could be attracted to blonde girls, or you could be attracted to people, I don't know, like thinner girls or thicker girls or whatever. Like it's perfectly fine to have, you know, a taste or whatever when it comes to what type of person you tend to find attractive or whatever. But I think it's when it becomes fetishized in your brain is when it turns into like a problem, right? Like that's kind of like how I sort of see like that sort of discrepancy.
Guy being attracted to a trans woman make them gay? No, they're attracted to a trans woman, and a trans woman is, well, a woman, right? So that would still be a straight guy dating a trans woman. If we have a lesbian dating a trans woman, then she's still a lesbian, right? That said, we usually attribute the word chaser predominantly towards men for whatever reason. I don't know why. There's probably women chasers. Got to get more diversity in the chaser space.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I don't know if I've ever heard people refer to a woman chaser, like someone who's chasing a trans man. I think that has to do with the typical type of chaser guy is usually in a the concept of being attracted to non-traditionally feminine people or whatever is very like taboo and wrong, especially amongst you know, the culture in like America, I would say, generally speaking. And so I think that like I don't know. I think it has to do with the taboo of the types of people. Like, I think it's more taboo for a guy to be like, it's the same way that it's more taboo for like two guys to kiss than for two girls to kiss or whatever, you know. I think that it feels it's based on like our patriarchal understanding of society and a lot of built-in like homophobia and like I don't know, just shame and sort of that sort of thing. If I had to guess, I'd have to process that a little more to give maybe a better assessment, but I think it's something along those lines.
If a guy just happens to like women with different equipment down there, that doesn't inherently make someone a chaser.
No, that's what I was saying earlier.
If you're still seeing someone as a human being and you've discussed boundaries, you're having a wonderful relationship, and perhaps this guy enjoys the equipment that said trans woman might have, not having surgery before. That doesn't make someone like a super scary chaser or whatever. That's just a person that enjoys dating women with different equipment, right? I feel like stigmatizing this kind of thing is really strange. I feel like we should be accepting of what people enjoy in that context, right? Now, understand that there's many trans women that don't want to be enjoyed for equipment they don't like or they don't associate with. And I think that's reasonable too. Like in any relationship, you gotta talk about it. For some trans women, it can be kind of uncomfortable to be desired, so to speak, because of equipment they may have dysphoria for. And I think that's very reasonable. Though equally so, if a guy asks politely in an established relationship, that kind of thing, if they can, well, interact, we'll call it, with the E key, that's reasonable. Now, if said trans woman partner's like, nah, I'm good, and then, you know, the partner goes, understandable, have a nice day, then yeah, we're chilling, right? However, that's a rational conversation. You ain't getting a rational conversation from someone that wants to go to town. Interactions you might have with people that we would call chasers are people that they're on their app and they're on a mission, okay? And this is more of a commentary on dating apps in general, but I feel like a lot of people use dating apps as hookup apps. Yeah. And like, there's separate apps for that. Just, it can be very annoying. I honestly stopped using dating apps years ago because every time I matched with a guy, it would usually be someone twice my age and their profile pic would either be them holding a fish or a giant.
The fish guy.
I'd say the internet in general.
The fish guy, that's a classic, man. That's a classic. I'm proud to say that I've never once had a profile picture of me holding a fish. I feel like, okay. If you like fishing, that's perfectly fine, but you don't need it on your fucking profile picture. To me, it feels like another cultural signifier that's just like, I am right-wing coded. It's kind of the vibe that I get for people who actually put, you know, the holding the fish in the profile picture. I'm assuming that if you're doing that, you're really looking for, you know, a like trad wife kind of girl, if you can, like, if you're capable of finding one. If that's not what you're looking for, though, if you're looking for any girl, I would recommend that you get rid of that fish picture, because I know lots of people who say as soon as they see a fish in the profile picture, they do not swipe on it. They swipe left or whatever it is, the bad one. It's been a while since I've been on dating apps.
General has made us try to optimize and speed through things, right? And that has also come into play in the dating space. Dating apps are rapid fire. People want action now, right? So you're gonna get the most forward question imaginable from someone that is a chaser, and that is not okay.
I personally kind of hate that aspect of dating apps. I really, man, dude. I mean, I could go into a whole thing about dating apps, but dating apps in general, I don't like the gamification. I wish that they stuck more to the, you know, the goal of like just getting to know someone and getting like going on a date with someone, as opposed to it feeling like a contest or something of like swiping right and swiping left. I don't know. I was never that big of a fan when I was using dating apps. So that's my personal opinion.
You'll say some people identify under the,
and obviously if you're just looking for hookups, like that's fine. I'm not coming for you, but I just wish the dating apps were more like geared towards the goal of getting a date and finding a relationship personally.
And that is not okay. You'll say some people identify under the label trans attracted. I think that's the term used to differentiate chasers from people that just are.
Chasers doesn't see trans people as people who use this language that would scare a 4chan user. Trans attracted treats trans women like any other woman, is polite. Okay, there you go.
Attracted to trans women. And it's okay if you're watching this and you're attracted to trans women. It's okay to be attracted to trans women specifically. But still see them as human beings, okay? They're just a person. We're not a quirky in your anime to play around with, right? We're just a person that is gonna go to a nice park, have a nice meal, see the sun go down, that kind of thing, right? I'm not sure how I feel about the label trans attracted, because I feel like I mostly see it in context of people that are probably chasers. I find that people that are attracted to trans women and are chill about it usually just say they're attracted to women, and they'll just date people. There's a wide plethora of reasons that guys might want to date trans women, right? And sometimes it can be like physicality related, but also it can be like social related, as demographic wise, it can be easier to find trans women partners that are into certain nerdy hobbies, for example. If you go to any card game tournament or video game tournament, the chance of you finding trans women is much higher than meeting cis women, right? So in that specific context, I think
that's true. There, trans people are, I think, overrepresented in certain nerddoms, fandoms, artistic communities, also in political committees and stuff as well, or like political civic action groups and stuff. I've met a couple trans people, so yeah. But that is, I wonder. I'm curious why. I don't know if there's like a reason, or if people have analyzed that, particularly around like anime and like that sort of like the nerd communities. I guess because there might be a lot of like outsider feeling people or outcast people in those communities, and trans people tend to kind of fall, like in modern society, can tend to kind of fall into that bucket as well. Maybe that's why.
I think it's pretty reasonable to happen to date a lot of trans women, because there's just a lot of us in a concentrated space. Wanting to date people that enjoy the things you enjoy, very reasonable. And if that means that most of the time you end up with trans women, I think that's chill, as long as you see them as a human being that likes that thing you do, right? I'm sure a lot of trans people would prefer a nice candlelit dinner and playing some Pokemon card games on the table rather than a literal picture of your dog. Granted, once you're in an established relationship, that might change, but that's a different story.
What?
There's a strange assumption that trans people are somehow completely fundamentally different.
Memi say, think it's similar to why neurodivergent people feel like most mainstream stuff doesn't represent you. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm feeling too. Same with like why I think there's a lot of trans and like gender like non-conforming people in emo and goth spaces and alt spaces and all that sort of stuff. I think that you're probably right. It has something to do with like outsiders kind of finding niches to come together and stuff. So I think that that's probably where it is.
Different from cis people, right? And that can come into many different things, but I want to highlight a specific topic of infantilization, which basically just means seeing someone as really childish, right? This kind of stigma is very commonly thrown at trans men, for example, and that can be really dysphoria-inducing and honestly disrespectful to trans men that just want to live as men. So chases are a big problem for trans women and trans men, okay? But this specific topic, I think, holds especially true for trans guys, where they just want to be a guy, let him chill. Like, even if he enjoys some feminine presentation, right, doesn't make him less of a man, right? He's chilling. Don't infantilize him. Oh my God. Said infantilization can occur on trans women too. You can often see portrayals or photos of trans women wearing stuff like made of it, or like cute uwu kawaii fashion, that kind of thing. So it can create a kind of assumption that all of us dress like that and are fundamentally uwu and more likely.
She says that she's wearing a maid outfit. Sorry, I just noticed that as she was talking about it, but yeah, I mean, obviously, there's different. Everybody has different desires of how they want to present themselves, and you should, not see anybody as a monolith. Any group of people, it's important to never see them as a monolith. Some trans women want to be very feminine, girly, petite. Some might want to be a little bit more masculine coded, it all depends on the person. And there's also some that, might appear more masculine, but like they don't necessarily want to be perceived that way as well. So like there's, I mean, it's a tricky world, right? It is a tricky world when you get into the minutia of trans identity. But I'm hoping that, we're all learning together here, and, we can all be our best selves whenever we're around our trans brothers and sisters out there.
That all of us dress like that and are fundamentally uwu and more likely to be a more traditional housewife. I really briefly did one
noticed
date
it
with
too.
one guy, and his profile specifically said that he liked femme-presenting people, just in general, right? That was where he was chilling. Fair enough, right? It was a pretty positive date, actually. It was very respectful of me. His profile briefly mentioned
Went ice skating and enjoyed a burger. To be honest, it was a very nice date. I just wasn't ready at the time to continue a relationship. That sounds like a good date. I mean, I like, I used to ice skate a lot. I haven't been ice skating in a while, and you can't go wrong with a burger, man. In America, everybody loves burgers. That's our only food group. That's the main food group.
and that he didn't mind what was down there, that kind of thing, as he enjoyed both. Fair enough, but he liked it on femme-presenting people. I think that's valid, that's fine. Just because a guy enjoys one equipment doesn't mean his sexuality has to be another thing. If he enjoys it on femme-presenting people, sure. Why not? Go for it. How do you avoid chasers? Well, step one would be to not use dating apps, but that's not always an option for some people, so fair enough. But if you are using a dating app, just bear in mind that profiles are shown to you really rapidly, so a lot of people will be swiping just based on the pretty profile pic, right? So they're probably not gonna read the little bio thing. But it can be pretty easy to tell which aren't reading your bio if you happen to be lesbian, for example, as you'll find a really suspicious amount of guys somehow in your like swipe feed somehow because they ticked one thing to be shown on a lesbian feed. So that's pretty easy. In that case, swipe off any guys you see if you don't like guys. But if you're straight, bi, pan, etc., it's a bit trickier. But when you match with someone, right, really check their profile. It's surprisingly not hard to figure out if someone is there for a hookup or a long-term relationship where they see you as a wonderful person. Tip 1, does their bio mention anything other than sex? Does their profile mention hobbies? If they have hobbies, then there's things that they do other than swipe on a dating app, so that's pretty promising. Now the scary one is, well, talking to them. And when you talk to someone, you can get the vibe pretty quick. Based on how quickly they bring the topic to not safe for work activities. If they're okay to have a really reasonable conversation, maybe want to go to the shops, or maybe want to like go enjoy playing video games on the internet, or do a fun hobby thing, go rock climbing, I don't know, that's cool. Just remember there is a vulnerability when we're especially early in transition where we feel like we need validation in having a partner. However, just bear in mind that one's self-worth is not tied.
I heard an interesting thing about this on the Fear and podcast. They had, I think, a trans person, like a trans woman on, and she talked about how when she was first getting, like when she was first transitioning, I can't remember who it was, but I just remember she was talking about when she first transitioned, she let people, or she engaged in sexual acts with chasers and with like men who don't have her best interest at heart as a trans woman, like people who might be bigoted or people who might be like anti-trans in their rhetoric or their like how they portray themselves out to the world or whatever, but then we're chasing trans people behind the scenes or whatever. And she would have sex with them at first, and I think it was she said it was because of her seeking the validation of her femininity, basically, right, from these people. And so I do think that that's kind of important, like for trans people to, I mean, obviously you can choose to have sex with who you want to have sex with or whatever, but to not like, in a standard way of like, not like, don't do things that you might like regret just to seek the validation of your identity. And also you can probably seek your validation of your identity in aspects other than sex as well. I mean, that is one aspect of it, but it's not the only aspect of people validating your identity. So
to whether you have a partner, but unfortunately that insecurity, some chasers are kind of aware of that and will rather degradingly try to affirm feminine things about you, but not in a very polite way. But when you're early on, maybe feeling a bit insecure, maybe you want that at that moment. I'm not here to be a hater, but just remember, you can be single and a trans person and still be a valid person. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. My last relationship ended in 2014. 2015? Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I had a couple of dates here and there, but none ever ended up being a relationship, right? In my adult life, I think I've done like 2, maybe 3 dates ever. And I'm 26, and by the time you see this video, I'm 27. You should totally say happy birthday in the comments. But like, that doesn't make me lesser that I haven't been on many dates or had long-term relationships. I've been pretty single for a decade plus, and I'm fine. I'm chilling. I'm doing fun things, and that's all that really matters to me, I guess.
Hey, I went through that phase too. Don't worry.
I feel like the best relationships usually come from not dating apps specifically. And I'm not saying it has to be IRL. It can be like you're in an online community for a thing you like, and then you just organically meet someone. You know, maybe you're like playing a new game that came out and like there's someone in the chat and you're getting along well while you're playing with them. Or maybe you're in VR chat and you find someone cool.
You can see on my in my background, I got a little Monster Hunter, not Palico. I forgot what the dog was called from Monster Hunter Rise, I think it was. But I'm a pretty big Monster Hunter fan, by the way, people.
Cool at a dance party and you're getting along well while you're playing with them. Or maybe you're in VR chat and you find someone cool at a dance party in VR. Sure, why not? And then IRL, when you go and do activities such as maybe running, rock climbing, swimming, I don't know. Maybe you find someone just organically. Sure, why not? I think organically letting it happen is the easiest way to avoid chasers, as chasers don't do things, to be honest. The internet's created a skewed thing where it will make you think chasers are everywhere. And they're not uncommon. But in your average everyday life, you're not going to come across one in a way that will be of any danger or concern to you. If you're just doing your favorite thing.
Except if you go to the drag bar. I won't lie. I think there's a lot of chasers at the drag bar that I go to occasionally. Like, I think that there's some people who are, I don't know. Like, I mean, because obviously like being at a drag bar is like a celebration usually of trans identities in some regard. But I do think there's a lot of people who are there who fetishize trans people as well. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I've just seen some interactions that I'm just a little bit like, I don't know.
Things, meeting new people, especially not in a dating app context where it's this massive race to try to get a date as quick as possible. It's actually really easy to avoid a chaser. If you've met someone that talks about chasers on a regular basis, like bad experiences with them, that kind of thing, just bear in mind they probably are very active in dating apps or hookup apps, that kind of thing. So just understand in that small context, yes, they're common. Sure. I know it's an anticlimactic way to end a video, but I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to learn more about trans experience, I make a trans-related video every single week. That's right, every single week.
A weekly upload? Weekly upload, that's impressive.
Person wanting to learn about trans experience, or an ally that wants to learn about trans experience, or someone in the middle where you're not quite sure where you stand yet, and that's okay. You're welcome to like, comment, subscribe, and enjoy various videos. If there are any guys watching this insecure about whether they are defined as a chaser or not, if you're worried about how we feel about that, then you're probably not. Do the things you like to do, organically meet people, and if your future partner is a trans person, cool. Just be kind to them, treat them like any other person, and I'm sure you'll do fine. And the trans people watching, it's okay to be single. You don't have to chase validation, and the relationship will come at the right time. It's okay to be patient for it. And it's been 10 years plus for me. I'm sure I'll run into someone eventually.
Well, there you go, people. I thought that was a good video. It was very chill. I liked the vibes. Very cozy, I think, as she said, or comfy, as she said. So we got to learn a little bit about chasers, and I think that was good. We all come away, I don't know, more, more aware of the lives of, or like what our trans brothers and sisters go through when it comes to dating. And I think the more that we learn, the more empathetic and better this world becomes. So that's my philosophy, and I'm sticking to it. So, okay, let's go ahead and head on over to x.com, I think. Yeah. Well, let me see if I have any articles real quick. That one's kind of funny. Let me see how long this one is. This is a pretty short one. I don't know. I just kind of feel like going over to x.com, though. I don't know if I feel like reading anything. Sorry for the people who like hearing my my raspy ass voice read long ass articles. So you're gonna have to wait till next time. Okay. Let's go ahead and oh wait, I need to bring this down here. Okay, let's go ahead and scroll around on X, and then I'll get out of here. We'll see if we can find anything to talk about. I've seen this guy a million times on here, and he's always tearing apart an orange and then talking about something. I don't know what his deal is. I don't know why he's always on my feed, but he is always there. Vic Mensa. Okay, what do we got now? Fox News. Did he violate his oath again? Secretary of War Pete Hegseth goes after Senator Mark Kelly, accusing the Arizona Democrat of discussing details from a classified Pentagon briefing after a TV appearance. Hegseth is now threatening a legal review of the senator's actions. Okay, for those unaware, Senator Mark Kelly was one of the 5 people, I think, who went out and said, who just went out and told, or like they made a video saying, military personnel do not have to follow illegal orders, which is just the law. It is literally taught in your military training. Like they give examples of unlawful orders, and you have to be like, okay, I would not follow that particular order. Like it's in your training. You are supposed to know what constitutes an unlawful order, and you are supposed to know that you are not supposed to follow those orders. So he went out there and said that, and then they tried to investigate him, and I think it got thrown out real fast, as a lot of these, lawfare type things tend to do. But I guess he struck again by discussing details from a classified Pentagon briefing. We'll see. I don't know. I'd have to see what he said. The White House, they will be laughing no longer. Let's see. This is Iran's. This is so funny to me that the White House has to tweet from Donald Trump's Truth Social account. They have to tweet a picture of his long ass Truth Social because he refuses to get back on fucking Twitter. Like, I don't know why he refuses to do that, but he does. So anyway, let's read this. Iran has been playing games with the United States and the rest of the world for 47 years. Delay. And then finally hit... this is too long. I can't do it. I was going to try to do the whole Trump voice, but it's too long. And then finally hit pay dirt when Barack Hussein Obama became president. What's that mean? I don't know. He was not only good to them, he was great actually going to their side, jettisoning Israel and all other allies, and giving Iran a major and very powerful new lease on life. This seems like projection, dude. Obama did nothing compared to what you are currently doing and destroying America's force projection in the Middle East. You are doing a million times more than he ever could have. Hundreds of billions of dollars and $1.7 billion in green cash flown into Tehran was handed to them on a silver platter. Every bank in DC, Virginia, and Maryland was emptied out. It was so much money that when it arrived, the Iranian thugs had no idea what to do with it. They had never seen money like this and never will again. It was taken off the plane. I think they might see it again, dude. I think that you're about to release significantly more money in sanctions relief than Obama did, if I had to guess. And the Iranians couldn't believe their luck. They finally found the greatest sucker of all time, of them all, in the form of a weak and stupid American president. This is so much projection, dude. He was a disaster as our leader, but not as bad as sleepy Joe Biden. For 47 years, the Iranians have been tapping us along. Don't say that. Keeping us waiting, killing our people with their roadside bombs, destroying protests, and recently wiping out 42,000 innocent, 42, that number is absurd, unarmed protesters and laughing at our now great again country. They will be laughing no longer, President Donald J. Trump. I think they're going to be laughing, dude. I think you're going to release a lot more than $1.7 billion to the Iranian government. Let's see what else we got. I don't know. Well, if a watermelon pin destabilizes you more than the annihilation of Gaza, the problem is not the watermelon pin. Yeah, that's a good point. How the Hantavirus started. Kyle Kalinske, our dark woke commander, is added again, people. Okay. So what is going on here? What is this about? This girl posts so many fucking Hassan clips. I guess I'm following her because for that exact reason, but there's a lot of them. Let's see what this one is.
That's right. I'm gonna do it again. Car plus pussy equals pussy.
Hassan's getting his whiteboard game up now. Maybe someday I can do that. We do have a whiteboard. It's for our D&D campaigns, though. It's not for my stream. I would have to bring it up here, but
okay.
The pussy.
Now let's talk about Car Universe 9/11. In Cars,
did the cars deserve that one? Did cars deserve Car 9/11? Okay, what's this? I don't know what this is. That's music. I'm not allowed to listen to music. YouTube doesn't like when I do that. Okay. Democratic rep Josh Gottheimer calls out party's double standard on anti-Semitism. Gottheimer can go fuck himself, dude. He is, dear God, the shit, like, double standard. He is one of the most like Islamophobic people that I've ever seen. The words that he uses are so Islamophobic. He hates Muslims so fucking much. He's probably racist too. Like, usually there's not a very far leap you have to go from anti-Muslim hate to anti-black hate. But yeah, and all he's concerned about right now is like creating legislation like the Condemn Hassan Piker Act. Like, man, do your fucking job. Like, get some infrastructure passed or something, dude. The fate of all fascists. This is an artistic representation, by the way, people. This is not anything other than a piece of art. Mayo, does something change in your brain when you become a parent that allows you to tolerate the sound of children crying, or are you all just fucking miserable? Probably a combination of both. Okay, Adam Mogler says, AOC is right. Treating MTG or Tucker Carlson as allies in any meaningful sense is a mistake. We don't have to guess who they are. They're brazen liars and bigots who God damn it. Twitter. Okay. Oh, this is so long. Unapologetically push vile conspiracies theories that they haven't truly taken accountability for. Not all alliances are neutral. Some corrode the very values you're trying to defend. Tucker Carlson represents a broader, cynical, deeply illiberal media ecosystem that is growing among young people, and the moral laundering of him is a net harm. Both of those are relatively true, I would say. You also can use these people for, for political purposes as well. Like I talk about MTG, and I call her our woke warriors ever since she turned on Donald Trump. I don't truly trust Marjorie Taylor Greene at all. But I do like to use her, her rift within MAGA, her break away from Donald Trump on particular issues to my political advantage when I'm discussing things. I think that's a good thing to do from like a, strategic perspective. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to read the rest of this. It's just too much. But Carrie Manning says, look and listen, you little twerp. I'm no MTG defender, but she's far from a bigot. My God, you people never learn. She is kind of a bigot. I disagree. She is kind of a bigot. Oh, and here you go. Less than a year ago. Yeah. Eat the rich. Anonymous. The billionaires want to be emancipated from paying their fair share of taxes after society helped them get to where they are today. Greedy and evil is an understatement. Darling, they're taxing us. No! The bastards are taxing us. No! We'll only have enough money to live in luxury for the rest of our lives. Oh, God. Now I know how the slaves felt. That's an okay one. Anonymous. Protesters in Paris filled a fountain with red paint to expose the genocide that Israel is committing in Palestine and Lebanon. Well, good for them.
You don't.
This is Unmarried MAGA Alpha Male Podcaster. Myron Gaines claims female vaginas are disgusting. Yeah, if you need any more proof that these people are like one step away from homosexuality, like this is...
No. All men, can I just say, all men say they don't, and they actually do.
I really don't.
You've never done it in your life?
No, I've done it in my life.
So yes.
But the last time I did it was 2014. I remember specifically.
What?
Yeah, never again.
Why?
Female vaginas are disgusting.
No, they're not.
Do you eat vagina? Exactly. Point proven.
You don't.
That was a terrible argument. Terrible argument. Female vaginas are beautiful, and Myron can go fuck himself. Okay, let's see. Let's find something longer that I can react to. Maybe this one. Hassan the Hun explains why Graham Plattner's popularity, despite not being involved or associated with Hassan whatsoever, is telling of the tide shift within the Democratic Party amongst the voter base. He had nothing to do with Graham Plattner's success. Let's watch this.
The very fact that I had nothing to do with Graham Plattner at all, and yet Graham Plattner was so successful, also proves once again that this is not about me. I'm not like a singular force in this country's politics.
Yeah, that's something that a lot of the people who are doing all of these smear campaigns against him don't realize. I think they seem to think, I don't know if they actually think it. I kind of think they do, though, that if they think that if they get rid of Hassan Piker, then this movement dies or something, that like it's gone, like they lose, like, and I think this has to do a lot with, there's lots of things, but number one, under liberalism, like the individual, like there's very little thought about like communal like organizing and movements. It's all about the individuals and the actions of individuals. Number two, I think there's a lot of projection because they have a very small amount of people who are influencing the party and the power that exists in our country very heavily through a very small amount of individuals. So I think they think that they can do the same thing for a leftist like working movement, where that's just not how it works on the left. Like that's how it works on the right. You put a lot of money into like as few hands as possible, and then they sort of like distribute it down, give all the talking points, and then everybody falls in line with those talking points. That's not how it works on the left. On the left it's usually more decentralized and flattened, where everybody's kind of working with both with and against each other the whole time. That like taking out one, just it's instantly replaced. Like it's like water, right? If you take a scoop of water out of the ocean, the rest of the water just fills in to take its place. So like I think that they also think of it like from a right-wing perspective of how right-wing organizing works. And that's also just not how it works. So yeah.
But instead, this is a very real, organic anger that a lot of Democrats feel. And there are candidates that they are willing. There are candidates that are willing to bet on these insurgencies because they feel like people like Graham Plattner are more responsive to their needs, their demands. Okay.
Yeah. Is he going to say anything else?
So that's it.
Yeah. So that's it.
People are saying enough.
Okay. That was a little too much on the end there of pauses. But then Mike from PA says, Graham Plattner came from the Majority Report fan base and was a supporter of the late Michael Brooks. The fact that he was able to succeed is an organic expression of the influence of online spaces on the Democratic Party. Yeah, to an extent. I guess I agree with that. Okay. Jessica Burbank. I can't even begin to express how cool it is that my job is being a silly little guy on the internet, and I get to travel internationally to speak about being a silly little guy on the internet. Yeah, I don't know what that's about. Why the right is winning the For You page and how to hack it back. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know that much about Jessica Burbank, how she writes or what her perspective is on stuff. Ooh, okay, wait. Maybe we can get some more maybe we can get some more 60-minute clips on here. Since I can't watch their videos, like their whole video and react to it on YouTube because I get copyright struck. Maybe I can react to like individual portions real quick. So I'm gonna do this one. I might turn it down though, and just read the read the subtitles potentially if I have to.
So yes, I mean I don't know.
There's no subtitles.
I mean, Churchill, without cell phones and without digital campaigns and farm bots, was labeled a warmonger in the 1930s because he said you have to stand up to Hitler. Right. And they accused him of warmonger. And Hitler didn't even say death to America, death, you know. I think he might have planned it. He didn't say it. Still, they accused him.
Okay. Netanyahu, Hitler didn't even say death to America, death to Britain. I think he might have planned it, but he didn't say it. And then Hassan says, I'm starting to think this guy likes Hitler. For those unaware, Netanyahu is a Hitler apologist. Okay. He is a Hitler apologist. He does not believe that Hitler, wanted to kill the Jews on his own volition, right? He believes that Hitler was manipulated and convinced. This is going to sound insane if you haven't heard it, by the way. Be prepared. Here, let me do this for this one because, yeah, this is a wild one. So Netanyahu thinks that Hitler would not have killed all the Jews if a Palestinian person, I can't remember the name, had not met with Hitler, like Hitler hadn't met with him and like convinced him to kill all the Jews. I'm not lying. This is literally what Netanyahu believes. He is a Hitler apologist. Okay. He's insane. Okay. Let's hope we can find some more. Maybe there's more clips on this. I wonder if I can like open up this topic or something. No. I was hoping they would have more clips about the 60 Minutes interview. Okay. Okay. I think this is like the meme of like a person getting deeper into like a deeper level of understanding or whatever. So it starts with it's Epstein, then it moves on to it's Israel, then it moves on to it's the oligarchs, and then finally it moves on it's capitalism, a system bigger than one man, one race, or one country. That's true. This is if you don't end up at this stage, like this is where you should probably end up. You don't have to become a communist or anything, but I do advise people to look into anti-capitalism, being against capitalism. It's a consistent worldview that has proven able for me to be able to understand the world in a way that I never could have under liberalism. And the way that I understand the world turns out to be right significantly more often now that I've broken outside of the confines of Israel. If you ever wonder why I am able to often, like, I don't like to say predict because predictions are fickle and no one can really predict things necessarily, but if you wonder why I'm able to like understand what likely trajectories our country is going to be on and why those often tend to come true, it's because I am analyzing things from a leftist, anti-capitalist, anti-imperialist perspective. And it helps me, see the world for as it is. It takes off all of the guardrails that liberalism puts on your worldview that forces you to think about things in ways that don't actually make logical sense. So, okay, let's try and find something good to end on, and then I'm gonna get out of here. Yeah, Tennessee Holler says, Alexa, show us an interview you couldn't pay us any amount of money to watch. That's a funny one. Yeah, I mean, this would be, dear God, Bill Maher is already insufferable in and of itself. Talking to this fucking oaf who can barely string together 2 sentences. Oh God, it would be that would be awful. I don't think I could make it through that. As Kyle Kalinske says, Fetterman looks like he could actually physically eat Bill Maher. He probably could. Asked if he'd vote to approve future arms sales to Israel, Senator Cory Book replies, "We have a long-standing commitment to Israel having a qualitative military edge. I will continue to support that." Wow, let's hear it.
Arms sales for Israel in a future entanglement if you thought that was necessary.
Again, we have a long-standing commitment to Israel having a qualitative military edge. I will continue to support that.
You would.
Fuck you, Cory Booker. Jesus Christ. That's the leadership, by the way. That's the leadership of the House of Representatives. Nancy Pelosi's hand-picked leader right here. Fucking sucks, dude. Cory Booker sucks. And he is going to lead the Democrats to off a fucking cliff and install a fascist regime in power for the foreseeable future, because he is so terrible. He is so awful. That will be his legacy if he keeps messaging like this, if he keeps governing the way that he governs, or lack of governing the way that he governs. Yeah, we're gonna get full blown Nazism in America, and he will be, I will assign some of the blame to him. Okay. No, you can't trick me. What is this? Okay, you can trick me. Jesus Christ, dude. What happened to the White House Twitter account? Why is it just shit posting stuff now? Like, I hate our country, man. I hate our country. I'm not allowed to watch SNL either. I got dinged for that as well. I already reacted to this one on my YouTube channel. You can see that if you want. Brogan, looking fly. Love those boots. The banal horror of Jimmy Fallon. His viral slop represents a culture trying not to notice the world collapsing around it. I think that's an astute observation. I have a distaste for Jimmy Fallon in particular. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm annoyed. Generally, I think the liberal talk shows, they tend to annoy me, just generally, their perspectives and how they behave and stuff. However, Jimmy Fallon is in a separate category almost, because I do think that he his lack of substance and desire to never appear controversial is so ever present in everything that he's doing on camera that it's impossible to ignore. And yeah, I never watched Jimmy Fallon. Okay, what do we got? Oh, okay. I was curious about this person, what her whole thing was. This time for another reintroduction, since this is Adri. Since I've hit 4.5K, and there's been a bit of misunderstanding about what my account exists and why the purpose of it is. Her name is Adri, and I make real-time clips, or I'll just read it as her. My name is Adri, and I make real-time clips of Hassan's stream. This is to help combat the awful clip farming environment that exists on Twitter, that they try to portray paint Hassan as a bad person. Okay, so she's just a Hassan poster. So that's why all of her things are Hassan. I was kind of curious what her reasoning was, so that's good to know. Okay, come on. Let's find something fun to get out of here. My voice is kind of giving out a little, and I don't have my water with me. Okay.
I'm a suit guy now. This is.
Oh, okay. Hassan explains why he's been wearing suits recently. Let's hear it.
Why are you always in a suit? I'm a suit guy now. This is it. I'm in my suit era.
I gotta say, I think I said this the other day, but I'm not a fan personally. I think the suits are too boring. I liked his fashion before, his style before. Hassan was known for picking out like, you know, fun, cute little outfits that he could wear on a stream every day. And so I think that he kind of loses a little something when he goes to suits, because to be honest, I think suit culture and like suits is the only way of you know, dressing up or whatever has been one of my least favorite aspects of the United States. I kind of wish that we had more extravagant ways of dressing formally that wasn't just suits for men. So I think he kind of loses something by doing this personally.
I think we already established that. Part of the reason why is because part of the reason why I'm in a suit all the time is because, you know, moms and dads are watching. 2 reasons. 1, it makes my head look bigger.
Okay, that particular reason, that's true. I do agree that it makes his head look bigger, and that's a good thing because Hassan notoriously has a tiny head.
Number 2, a lot of conservatives come in here to watch lately to see what's going on. And
okay, so demographic changes, maybe he's, you know, okay, look, his purpose isn't to cater to me. I'm already on his side, generally speaking. So I get it. If he's seeing a demographic change and who's coming to watch him and he wants to do stuff to, you know, help ease those people into transitioning into, you know, their era of third world Maoism or whatever, as he tries to, you know, usher people in and away from, you know, capitalist doomerism. Like, I think that if his primary goal is political, it's not entertainment, I would say. So I get that. That's fine.
The chatter correctly pointed to wearing a suit, basically like lingerie for old conservative ladies. Yeah, they love that shit. Gets them horny.
Oh, wow.
And in their horny moment, they just are a lot more receptive to what I have to say. This is how we spark the revolution, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow. This is how it is, by getting horned up old ladies, you know, ready to receive the big fat communist words of Son Piker. Okay, I'm done. Sorry, that's it. That's the stream, people. He didn't make me laugh. I made me laugh. And you know what? That's the best kind of laughter, is the one that you give yourself. So I hope you all enjoyed the stream. I certainly enjoyed the stream. You know, if you're watching the VOD, love you too. This has been Technically Clay, and the stream is technically over. Bye-bye.